Everyone has some sort of a closet that's become too small. A closet is no place to live, and I want to support as many people as I can in stepping out of that prison into the fullness of life that's waiting for them on the other side of that closet door. I'm Nancy Shadlock from Centered Life Coaching. Join me in listening to these coming out chronicles. Get curious about your story, and then see what good things are waiting for you on the other side of your closet door. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is a really cool podcast episode. Katya goes deep with us. She shares vulnerably about her next coming out chapter that's still in process. And I think that you'll be really touched by her honesty and inspired in all different parts of her story of like what's alive for you right now, what's your next coming out chapter, and what ways do you need support so that you feel safe enough so that you can come out in your next chapter. Yeah, it was just a really beautiful episode, and I can't wait for you to listen in. Katya, it's so awesome to have you on the show today. I'm pleased to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you.
Well, I just wanted to point out that we're both color coordinated today. We we talked a few weeks ago, and you were color coordinated with some yellow art behind you. And so I thought I better step it up and also color coordinate. And then here you are today with your color coordination. So hopefully people catch this on the YouTube channel as well, so they can see the visual of how cool we look.
It brings me so much joy. I think there's some sort of, I don't know, is it the predictability or what it is about color coordination, but it just makes me exhale with peace when things are in harmony.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Like you're in visual design and that kind of work, right?
I had that kind of background. Yeah, I have background in architecture, but I've moved on from that now.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we're going to hear more about that, but why don't you jump in and start telling us your coming out story that you want to share with us today?
Sure. I am Bulgarian originally. I currently live in London and I have been for hmm, 12-ish years now. So it's been a minute. Um, but growing up Eastern Europe, it's not the most queer friendly environment in the world at all. Um, I think the very positive thing about it is though we talk about sex when we're young and it's not a taboo topic at all, but they're very very strict gender roles and people are expected to kind of fall into certain places. A lot of people kind of feel like after post-communism, there is something to be said about women working and so on, but what happened was just that women are also expected to have careers, but all the other gender roles are very strict. So growing up, it didn't kind of even occur to me because also there was so much of these gender roles kind of perpetuate um, competition and hate between women. We have this one idiom that I usually describe this with best, and I heard that so much growing up. This is one of those little idioms that you hear everywhere. One woman met another snake. So how could I possibly imagine being queer if all the rest of the women are snakes? Doesn't make
Wow.
sense. So it took me 4-ish years of living abroad. Well, no, that's with more, maybe 5-ish years of living abroad to kind of be actually, oh no, this is, you know, it's actually a thing. And I think my biggest coming out was to myself to kind of really realize that I was in my mid-20s, which nowadays, the kids nowadays, they they come out very early, and then this is kind of like, oh, well ahead in time. And yeah, I've always found women attractive, but you know, so what? They're snakes. Should stay away from snakes. Doesn't matter if they look pretty or not. Um, and uh, I remember the first time I went out on a date with a woman. it just felt like I could breathe for the first time. I think that came from, because of all these gender roles that I've grown up with. Um, there's something so concrete in my mind about a male-female relationship. It's not in my conscious mind. It's not something that I'm in control of. But when I'm in a male-female relationship, there's just so much expectation of the man to be this assertive, big, strong, leading part, and then the woman to be this kind of fragile, beautiful thing next to him. And I've never been that. That my personality is just everything far away from that. And in the relationships that I had with men, I was tearing myself inside because I
Mhm.
felt like I should be something, but I very much wasn't. And these guys, they were all great guys. There was nothing wrong with them. I was just going a little bit insane in my head because of all that. And I remember going to that date, and it was like a little French restaurant just off of Oxford Street, just the dream. They had old wine bottles with candles in them in the tables, but like ones that have had many, many candles, and like the wax would just make this beautiful almost sculpture in there. And I was waiting for a girl named Kate, because it has to be the same letter. And it just all of a sudden felt like, oh, I can be whatever the hell I want to be. So that was kind of the big moment for me personally.
Mm. Breakthrough. Tell me more about this. So you met Kate at a restaurant and it was kind of this like aha.
Yeah, it was suddenly that was there in the room. And I mean, we dated very briefly, the first relationship, and it was cute and sweet, and it was what it was. But it really it really showed me that it was possible to be myself when I was in a partnership, which just was shocking and relieving and so many things at the same time.
Yes, I totally get that. I remember dating men too and feeling like I had to make myself small and like don't talk about how you're good with tools or that you could change a tire or things like that. Like you might overstep their manhood, and yeah, to not have to divide yourself is so healthy.
And I felt that I was just not being a very nice person with them as well, because often different people get attracted to each other, and I was kind of becoming this nagging person, also like trying to get them to be something that they're not entirely. um,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe entirely projecting my sense of inadequacy of being me in this situation, where I know that I need to be this porcelain figurine over here that I'm not. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe a combination of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So then how did that start to trickle out into the rest of your life of coming out to more people?
Mm. So at the time I was playing Quidditch, as you do, which was great, and was a very queer community. So that was really great, because it was just so welcoming and so nice, and it was the best kind of place for this to happen.
But
But
wait, what is Quidditch?
okay, so mm, I know that JK Rowling is a bit of a hot topic right now, and
Right.
our views on her, unfortunately, has changed. But back in the day, when we didn't feel the way we do now, that's sweeping assumptions I'm making here. But anyway, Quidditch is the sport that's played in the Harry Potter books, and some fun kids decided to adapt it for real life. And the really great thing about Quidditch is that there was never talk about gender and gender divisions. There's everybody played in it, and this is how it was played. Um, it is played currently as well in the real world. There's a whole like international Quidditch association, and there's a World Cup and everything. It's become much more professional recently. I've left the field now, but I played for a few years, and the best thing was that it was open to all genders. This is how I learned what a non-binary person was. I started meeting trans people for the first time because of Quidditch, and that was really wonderful because, especially with sports, trans people meet a lot of challenges, and it's very heartbreaking how, you know, there's no space where they feel
Mhm.
welcome. So in Quidditch, it was all great, and it's a sport that's essentially like a mix of dodgeball and rugby, but you kind of have to keep a stick between your legs at all time. It's great. It's great. It's really good. But that was what really helped me, was that kind of community and everyone around that. And even though I haven't played for maybe 5 or 6 years now, some of my closest friends come from this community. So it was really great.
Mm.
But obviously, not everything in my life was Quidditch. Again, I was living in London, I was working in London. That wasn't a thing at all. But back home, I'm still very much not comfortable being myself. I've come out to everyone who's willing to hear, but not everybody is.
Mm.
And it's all right because I moved for the first time when I was 19. I've been several different people since. Um, and the people that I care about have, come to terms and were open from the get go or not. But the most challenging part was my dad.
Mm.
And I think that has to do with the fact that I look so much like him. Um, he always jokes about, even if your mother tries to tell me you're not my children, I know you are, because, and if really, if you see photos of us side by side in the same age, we look like twin siblings.
Mm.
And I think that just really kind of, he took it hard growing up as well. The most offensive thing he would call someone would be to call them gay, with some slur words that he used. That would be the worst thing. Um, and I've never shied away. I've always been a very kind of direct person. And when I started dating Kate, actually, from the get go, from the first one, I went back home and I was like, we've got to have a chat. And I actually took him to a restaurant. Everything happens in a restaurant. There's some sort of I think neutral grounds.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be outside of home. Like I didn't want him to, go into the in my house kind of thing.
Mhm.
Uh, the
And he
restaurant?
was in London at the time?
No. I was in Bulgaria. Uh,
Okay.
I went back for a summer holiday or something like that, and we sat down, and I just very kind of calmly started telling him how I'm dating this girl and how I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm definitely not straight. And we've always been close and open with each other. So I want him to know. And we have. That's the thing with him. I've never had this kind of scared relationship with my dad. I've never been scared of him. Like, we've had very open conversations. We fight honestly, like equals. And we always have. So I was just like, you're my dad. You want to be close. I want to be close. This is what's happening. And he wouldn't say anything. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. I was like, okay, but I'm telling you, so it would be nice if you have a reaction of some sort. He was like, nope, this doesn't, it doesn't exist for me.
Mm.
And he just refused to have any sort of conversation. And I think a couple of days afterwards, when I was flying off, and he drove me to the airport in the most dramatic way, just as I was, getting to that little barrier where you can't cross if you don't have a boarding pass. Uh, he was just like, I'm just going to choose to believe that you're going to end up with a stable guy. And he left. I was like, oh my God. Just all the drama, all the drama. But it was not great at first, and we talked to each other much more, and he would text me and like send me fun rhyming messages and things like that, and he just stopped. He didn't confront the issue or anything. It was just a block. And my mom would tell me that he had asked about me, and like he kind of kept up tabs on what's going on via my conversations with mom, but he just stopped calling me altogether. And it wasn't great. I kind of felt, I just need to give him a moment. He's an intelligent person, and the one thing I never doubted it was that he loves me,
Mm.
and I kept thinking, and I think I told him a couple of times that I know that he loves me more than he hates people he doesn't know, because that's the other thing with a lot of cases of homophobia, and in his particular case, his issues with racism is because of lack of exposure. He I'm pretty sure he doesn't know anyone else who's queer. He hasn't known anyone else who's queer in his life, so there's no way for him to know that that's okay, I think.
Mhm.
And that lasted about a year and a half, and I decided to stop going home because it didn't feel comfortable altogether, and I could just fly mom over and enjoy time with her this way. But then sadly, she got quite sick, and I started going home quite frequently. At one point, I was flying practically every weekend, which was lots of fun.
How long of a flight is that?
3 hours.
Okay.
It's not that bad, but it's, combined with the 2 hours before in the airport and getting to the
Mm-hmm.
airport and so on, it's just a
Yeah.
hassle. I mean, I know in the Americas this means nothing, but this is literally the two ends of Europe. It's a
Right.
big deal for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, put it in perspective for me.
Yeah, it's a lot for us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and yeah, and when that happened, I took him out again in another restaurant. Um, and I was like, listen, you this is going to be tough. We have a few years of fighting ahead of us, most probably, and like this is not easy for me. And at the time I had a partner, I actually had a fiance at the time, and I needed the support. And I told him, listen, I need her to be here with me to be able to deal with this, and you need to behave, because otherwise we're going to start staying in hotels, and then mom's going to get more stressed about what's going on, and that's the last thing she needs. And he did. He genuinely, he evolved so much in the last 5 or 6 years. I'm sure it wasn't easy for him, but compared to the sort of attitude he had when I was teenager, he's just gone leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
We started going more often, and I never drive. I can't drive. That's another reason I can't deal with with the Americans. Um, and Shaz will drive around, and they'll drive together sometimes. And my dad doesn't really speak English. It's a lot of hand gestures and yeses and nos and thank yous kind of thing. But they kind of dealt together, and they would just make jokes together and stuff like that. So he just kind of managed to get over it somehow, and it really meant a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's really incredible.
Mm,
I'm happy to hear that because I think a lot of times when people come out, that's their biggest fear is that they'll be, like cut off from their parents in some way. And then a lot of people that does happen. But then to not be stuck in that moment where you're cut off, but to be able to see this longer arc of, yes, it happened for a while, but it's not always like that. And you've been able to have growth between you. And that's really beautiful. It's really hopeful to share with people.
yeah, I think it was quite fortunate, and the stories we kind of hear are usually extremities, right? Either the most supportive parents in the world or the worst people ever.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority are always going to be in the middle of the bell curve, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just kind of need to give them a little bit more time. And it's, everybody has expectations from their parents, and wants and needs. And it's great if they could be fulfilled, but they can't always. And then if we kind of address it as two equal adults, I think there's more there's more space for growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Give each other the benefit of the doubt, give space for people to grow and change,
Mm.
trust. trust that there's love. Like that's really big that you were able to always trust that he was loving you through that all.
Mm. I mean, us being so close before that really made a difference. I'm the youngest of three, and both of my sisters are quite a bit older than me, 8 and 10 years older. And I think we just had different parents. That's
Yeah.
the inevitable thing that happens. And I can see I've seen their relationships with my parents, and they're very different, and they're very much more classic parent child relationships. Where I've always been quite, I don't know, forward with them, and I've applied the policy of like giving them too much information, so they're just a bit overwhelmed and they don't ask me questions that I don't want to answer. So so that helped, I
Yeah.
think.
Hmm. So like what's now? Like what's on your coming out radar now as you evolve and change and inevitably grow?
Hmm, there's something. And there's something I've been sort of dealing with in the last year or so that I don't know if I'll ever be able to come out with it. um, I have a thing called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that causes various different things. Really, if you go and read on about this particular condition, it really sounds more like there's several different conditions and they've grouped them all together like this because it's something with the lady parts that we don't get and we don't really care about because people don't die straight away from it. Um, in my particular case, I'm not ovulating, and uh, there's other aspects, but hair growth has been very challenging, and I've started growing a beard,
Okay.
a full-on beard. And during the pandemic, it's been a little bit easier to deal with that because Zoom could be forgiving, let's
Mm-hmm.
say. And if I'm staying at home quite a while, it's fine. And then I found I really enjoy wearing masks because they cover half of my face.
Right.
That's fine. But also in this last year, things have gotten worse and worse for me. And I just really wish I could grow out my beard. I, re- it,
Mm.
it's one of the most painful, annoying things in the world. I have to wax my face at least once, if not twice a week.
Mm.
And it's getting worse. It's getting progressively worse, and it's gonna get worse. Shaving is not an option for me because it makes it worse quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I've also kind of explored other hair removal methods, and none of them seems to give a decent result compared to the time investment in them. And I've been having a monthly breakdown over it every once in a while. It's just because it's really painful, and I'm getting ready to go out or do something fun, and I need to get on with it and start doing that whole thing, and it's just so infuriating, and it starts getting ingrown hairs and things, and it's just awful. And there's a couple women online that have the similar condition, and they've just grown out their beards. There's I've forgotten her name. Is the Sikh woman,
Yeah. I
BBC
think I've
talking
seen
about her.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she just has this gorgeous beard, and she wears a turban, and her eyeliner is always on fleek, and she looks amazing. And I wish I had the ovaries to do that. I really do, and maybe I will at one point. I'm not that concerned about my professional life. I think it's fine because I know how to carry myself, and I know what I'm doing and how I sound, and I think I can handle that professionally. But the big thing for me is that I'm currently single, and I just can't imagine being able to lead my personal life the way I want to, knowing that I'm so off kilter. I'm already fat. I'm already not entirely white. I'm already foreign. It's just one other thing. And it's been something that I've been thinking about. I've been talking to people. I was really kind of hoping to get more of my queer friends to kind of support that. But actually, a lot of people have been like, like if you do that, you're gonna go under a lot of fire. It's gonna be very difficult, and more people than I expected have been quite, don't do it. Definitely don't do it. So it just talking about it has been a bit of a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Maybe one day I'll show up with beautifully manicured goatee, and we'll feel great about it. But I'm not there yet.
Yeah. What do you think you would need to get there?
Enough of a support system that supports it, I think. Maybe an intimate partner or partners that support it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. It's something that feels very lonely, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels wrong. It feels wrong because, you know, I've sort of I've been fighting to prove I'm feminine enough my entire life, and now a beard is just not helpful in that department. Just not really the right tool.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how we have certain rules that we're okay to break from childhood of like loving a woman, but then not looking womanly enough is a rule that just feels too hard to break right
Mhm.
now.
That goes back to my Bulgarian upbringing, I think, because women are sexist in Bulgaria. Women police each other very, very harshly at that. I was 9 years old, 9 years old, when my sisters pinned me to the living room floor to wax my armpits for the first time.
Mm.
And I don't blame them. They didn't know any better. They were still kids as well. They really wanted to help, but it was freaking terrifying.
Yeah,
So,
it's a lot tied up in this then, a lot of
mm,
memories and connections.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe
Yeah.
one day.
Mm. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. It's really real and alive for you right now, and
It is. It is.
it's
Can
brave.
you see anything? Well, that was the reason, because today the meeting that we had set up, we had a little bit of a misunderstanding about the time, and I actually had the time when you called, but I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
I hadn't removed enough of the beard to feel
Okay.
comfortable, so I had to do something.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I can't tell anything. It looks very smooth. Your chin. Yeah.
Good, good. I
Did
managed to do it.
yeah. Did you know that Zoom has a feature that you can add a beard? There's like,
Ads. I was like,
yeah, I did this recently so that you could see like what it would look like kind of play with having the
is
coiffed
it real
beard.
or is it like animated?
It's like animated on Zoom. It's just a filter that it will put on for you so that you can see.
Okay, I don't know if I'm ready.
Do you want me to show you mine?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. I looked it up the other day and I showed my wife and she's like, man, you look pretty hot like that.
Well, I could borrow your wife for a minute if that's all right.
Yeah. Have somebody that's supportive like that. It would be so nice. Where did it go?
Way back when I had an undercut like you, I did a collaboration with an artist, and we did half and half face. So my shaved side was male makeup, like male drag, and this was feminine. And we did
Okay.
beard and everything. And I can't look at these photos. They're too real. I look like a real boy. It's too hard. Oh wow.
Right?
Oh, it's not that animated. It looks quite realistic.
It does look quite realistic. And I think you can play with like how much comes on or not and
Mm,
eyebrows and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
like just play with it a little bit and see what you think and see how you feel about you with beard.
Mm, mm. Well, yeah. I think I need a little bit more time with that.
Fair. Yeah. It's all about you having your timing
Mm,
and having the support that you need. Because I think that's key for any coming out story, right? Is feeling safe enough and is there somewhere soft to land with all of this?
yeah. Yeah. Just at least one place soft. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's really valid.
Hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing your stories with us today. It's been so beautiful to get to know you a little bit better. And I know that so many people are going to hear themselves in your story and that you're going to inspire so many.
Thank you so much for listening. It's joy talking to you.
Thanks for listening to the Coming Out Chronicles. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. And if you think it would be helpful for someone else, please share it with them. If you'd like to connect with me, reach out on social. I'd love to support you on the next chapter of your coming out story. Until next time, this is Nancy Shadlock from Centered Life Coaching.